Hello and welcome to Stay Paid, the sales and marketing podcast from ReminderMedia on a mission. A mission, Luke. On a mission to help you close more deals and retain more business so you can live a life of freedom tomorrow, but only if you take action today. My name is Joshua Stike, and I am joined, as previously alluded to, Luke Acree.
Yes, with a backwards baseball cap today. So if you're just listening to this, we love you. But we would love you even more if you go check out our youtube.com/ReminderMedia and look at Josh and I in these awesome Stay Paid hats. Because they're coming at you. They're not for sale yet, but they will be for sale. And our goal is not to make a ton of money off of these hats, or any money for lack of a better word. It's really just to give you guys this awesome freaking merch.
Yeah.
So you can rock the brand. Because the name, and comment, I've gotten a lot of compliments on the name Stay Paid. If you like the name Stay Paid, let us know, because I really like that name, Stay Paid.
The one thing I've noticed is people I have to repeat it a couple times. So it's important to have stuff with it printed on there.
We're going to have shirts.
Makes it easier to talk to people.
We're going to have hats, coffee mugs. I wanted Josh to create a flag.
We literally don't have any of this stuff, Lucas.
Oh, okay. I'm making this up.
Jesse's taking notes in the background.
I thought we were doing this. I thought we were doing coffee mugs, shirts, flags.
We got these for internal.
Okay, so guys, but we're going to give you a chance to order these Stay Paid hats coming soon.
Making them available online at StayPaidPodcast.com.
You're going to learn something about me, because today, Josh is going to tell you about this podcast. Today's all about getting to know Josh and I personally. Anybody who works with me for more than a week realizes that I tend to just leap before I think. Somebody said to me, I was texting back and forth with Keith Wilson. Now, he's supposed to be on our podcast, but he keeps bailing on us. He's a great insurance guy. But he said that he's working 3 to 4 hours extra each day because they're in the process of renewals. And I said, I'm proud of you. You're finally pulling hours like me. And he said, yes, for lack of better judgment. And I texted back and I said, I've never been known for my judgment. I've been known for failing fast. That's what I've been known for.
Dude, action, man. Got to take action.
Anyways, what are we talking about today?
Yes, so as we talked a little bit about on the Facebook Live prior to going on the podcast here, our theme this week, if you're listening to this on Monday, our theme for the week is all about relationships and family. Obviously, with the holidays coming up, you're going to be gathering with family. And we thought about what we could talk about from a business perspective. And really, there's only so much to say. I think one of the business advice that we would give everybody as you're getting together with your families this holiday, think about how can you learn what your family members do, and then how can you add value to what they do as their profession.
Don't
we say
ignore
it all the time.
Yeah, and don't ignore
Don't
them.
assume that your family members know what you do for a living or what you need to make your business successful. The same thing with them. Reach out, find out, how many things can you talk about other than politics, which you can try and avoid.
Dude,
family dinner table.
Because Thanksgiving just happened. My brother Mark brought his girlfriend home that we've never met before, Olivia. It's awesome. So if you listen to this, it's great meeting you. But the funny thing was I told my brothers, I said, we are the most controversial family. Like, our dinner conversations, all we talk about are politics, religion, and then sports. And there's nothing, finance. Well,
nothing's more dividing.
Than those things.
And exactly.
Politics and religion, we're always talking about that.
So from a business perspective, obviously this holiday season, have fun, enjoy time with friends and family. Make sure that you're finding out what your family does, see what you can do to add value to their business. And then, of course, don't assume that your entire family knows what you do. If you're in real estate and what you need to make your business successful is referrals, don't be afraid to share that, especially whenever the opportunity comes up in those conversations. But what we're going to do on this podcast today is we're going to, as Luke said, dive a little bit deeper.
We're going to get intimate
into our backgrounds. Since this is all about relationships and getting to know people, we've never really done a podcast where we just talked about our background.
No,
I mean, we've mentioned it here and there.
Probably because people don't care.
We're 52 episodes in, and we've never really talked about our journey up to this point.
Yep.
Both with ReminderMedia, 54 episodes. Producer Mark is giving us the 54.
Are we 54? 54. Someone fact check that. Andrea, fact that. No, I'm just kidding. We're doing this new fact check thing. If you guys missed
we're adding fact checks to every podcast.
Yes, fact
it's just fun to say.
Yeah, it's just fun. Hey, someone fact check that.
But
then we do our grade after the podcast, just like you do after a political debate.
Did we say this already on the podcast that Luke's wearing his hat backwards and trying to figure out? You said with the IQ?
I said the IQ, people lower your IQ by 40%. Supposedly is what I was told growing up. Is that people lowering that maybe was just because they told me I looked like
what your mom told
you. Yeah, no, it's like actually Mr. Adams, and he was one of my first.
If you wore a ball cap.
My first boss, my first real boss, Mr. Ken Adams, which amazing guy. But he told me people will look at you and lower your IQ by 40%.
Did you ever hear that?
Andrea can't find it, so that fact is probably made up by Luke Acree Incorporated.
Did you ever hear this one, that if you wear a ball cap too much, you'll go bald?
I think I did hear that one.
My aunt used to tell me that, and because I always wear a ball cap, and I told her, I said that's made up, and now I'm going bald.
No comment. Josh told me,
Carol, you called it.
In the sake of getting to know us personally, Josh told me that he had amazing hair growing up. And he used to be one of those kids that would like wave.
It is not true that if you wear a ball cap too much, you will go bald.
No, it's in genetics, right?
Debunked.
Genetics is what makes you go bald.
It is genetics. So I think we haven't, obviously, as you can tell, we don't really have any notes in front of us or an outline.
These computers are just for show. They're sponsorship. We're sponsored by Microsoft. No. Well, Josh has an Apple. I have a Microsoft computer.
We're sponsored by computers.
Yeah, we're sponsored by computers.
So I thought maybe we could kind of go back and forth, maybe talk about, your history, my history up to RM. Then maybe we can kind of switch and then talk about kind of RM and then kind of talk about, now, but maybe go just back and forth.
Yeah, so
kick it off.
Let me tell you guys
about
how
Baby
weird
Luke
I
and
am.
how
Baby Luke was born into the world.
Yeah.
I was born in Fort Worth, Texas, actually. Most people don't know that. I was born in Fort Worth, lived there for a year, then grew up in Central Virginia because my dad is a pastor, still is a pastor, rocking it out at the same church, Fluvanna Baptist, love those people, and grew up in that church in Central Virginia.
I love that name, Fluvanna.
It was the county. It was the county, Fluvanna County.
Yeah.
So grew up in that church, was homeschooled. It's probably the most unique thing about my childhood.
No, I don't think that's the most unique.
Okay, it was 8 kids in my family.
There's the most unique.
There's 8 kids in my family because my parents didn't believe in birth control. No, I don't know if they have nothing against birth control, but I say they didn't believe in birth control.
This is getting into that dinner
this is
conversation.
the intimate conversation. But there's 8 kids in the family, 6 boys, 2 girls. So God bless the sisters in the family.
Oh my gosh.
And growing up, we were homeschooled. My mom homeschooled us not only all the way, like homeschooled all the kids, she homeschooled us all the way up to college. Like every single one of us was homeschooled from, basically, what is the first grade? Kindergarten?
Kindergarten.
All the way. See, I don't even know my grades because I was homeschooled. What's the first?
Technically, the first grade is first grade.
It's first grade, yes. Kindergarten all the way up to college. And so, what my passion was growing up was music. So I was one of those kids, literally, and if you've watched any of my podcast interviews, I've shared this before. I literally was, you hear about those kids that play 4 hours a day, 5 hours a day? Yeah. I literally was a kid that played 4 hours a day.
Anything? Guitar?
Guitar. So my main instrument, I started on trumpet. Then I went to, trumpet was not cool enough. So even though I was homeschooled, because I loved all the homeschoolers that might be listening to this.
Just wait till you find out what instrument I played.
Yes.
The trumpet was really cool compared to mine.
Girls don't like the trumpet. I know this may be a little too deep, but girls don't look at a guy playing trumpet and go, man, that is just, man, that guy's hot playing the trumpet. Name a hot trumpet player.
So that was your passion. That was your passion,
there
really.
You go. So like every teenage boy, I started playing the music hardcore when I was like 12. But it's the trumpet, then I went to guitar, I played piano, and then from there I just, I've been goofing off with music ever since. But I started a band with my brothers. In fact, Dan, who obviously is our web designer, who's been on the podcast before, he was the drummer in the band.
Amazing drummer.
Yeah, actually, Dan is probably the most talented out of all the brothers when it comes to the actual professional side of music. Like he's probably the only one that could have been maybe a studio musician because of just his technique and his ability.
Yeah.
But, we played music, and it wasn't just playing music. I mean, we literally, I did my first concert at like 13 years old with a guy named Dan Bryant, who got me started in his band. And then from there we formed, we had a bunch of different names, but it ended up being the Acree Brothers. But we literally would play 2 concerts a week. We would play church camps. We would play outdoor parks.
You're getting booked.
No, we got booked. We did a 2-week tour where we were booked, the whole 2 weeks traveling around. We went everywhere from Texas to Florida to Wisconsin we're all over Virginia. And so we were playing a ton.
At 13 or was this later?
From 13 all the way up to like 18.
Oh my gosh.
So then my brother
you had all this free time.
We weren't learning anything. We didn't know math at all. What is math, So
it's hard.
It's hard. Math is hard. So we put in all this effort into music, and then, life sunk in, and my brother fell in love with his now wife, Kristen. So I blame Dan for breaking up the band. But
so Kristen was the Yoko.
So yes, seriously. So had to go, get real jobs, as they would say. So speed up this story a little bit. That was my passion. Was still doing music. But what's interesting is because I grew up homeschooled, and something that's known about homeschool.
You're missing something from your story, from your band story, though.
What the
You guys like won a...
won a competition. We didn't win. Here's the story.
Oh.
The story is basically in college. It's kind of weird too. Is I went to my first year of college, and the band was kind of semi-broken up at that point, but I saw Battle of the Bands, and I literally waited to the last day of the college Battle of the Bands to enter in our demo CD. Mm-hmm. So we got selected to play at the College Battle of the Bands. We played at the College Battle of the Bands, and we won the College Battle of the Bands.
Okay,
and then they enter you into a national competition.
Yeah.
And then that was
flew you out to LA,
that was
right?
voted online.
Okay.
So that was a bunch of bands. Then we got voted into the top 3.
That's crazy,
and they flew
man.
us out to LA to play in front of the producers of NSYNC and Britney Spears and a bunch of other people. And and we lost. And it makes me mad because we lost, and I love these, the group, the Louisiana Street Band, but it was totally different. We're like pop music, and they're like the Louisiana Street. How do you compete with a saxophone? The saxophone, they rocked it on that
stuck
saxophone.
with the trumpet.
I know, I should have. It wasn't sexy, but we would have beaten, and we would have won the Battle of the Bands. So we lost that, and I thought, what's funny, and this is how life works, is I thought at that moment when we won the Battle of the Bands and we went out to LA because we got voted into the top 3 and all this good stuff, I was like, this is it. This is destiny. This is what we've been waiting for. I knew it was all worth it. And it's so funny to think about where I am now with ReminderMedia and where I thought I wanted to be.
Yeah.
And it's just weird how, and this maybe is a nugget, a golden nugget, if I can say it, to pull out, is that just because something doesn't happen in your life that you thought was going to happen and that you were totally about and into from a dream perspective, it's not a bad thing. I look back, I love where I'm at. I love what I'm doing. I often tell my dad so many times that goes, man, it's amazing how much I was passionate about one thing and how much passion I have for the thing I'm doing today. So much so that, it's not that I don't play music. I play every week, but it's not anything like it was to me. So it's just interesting how life works that way. But to speed up the story a little bit, I ended up going to college. I ended up majoring in computer science. And that's where I got into, when I look back on my career, and when you say like business side of things, like why did Luke decide to do what he decided to do? When I was in college and doing computer science, the one thing that I knew about computers is I knew that all the tech companies were selling for massive amounts of money.
Yeah.
And, growing up as a pastor's kid and stuff like that, it's not that we were like destitute by any means, but we grew up in the church parsonage. I don't remember going out.
Children,
I don't remember going out to eat at all
right?
Growing up. I remember going to McDonald's a couple times and sharing drinks. And this is not a woe is me story. I'm not one of those kids that has like grew up on the streets or something like that. But the point being is like, I just knew I didn't want to be poor.
Yeah.
And pastors don't get into it for the money.
No.
So, and that's a good thing. Most don't get into it.
Yeah.
No countenance there. But the point being is that's a good thing. And so I knew I didn't want to be poor. I knew I wanted a really good job. And I knew I wanted to do something where I could literally just be on my own, for lack of a better word, or do something that I could just create and be, I hate to say in charge, but be in charge. And so I started doing computer science. My brother, Dan, as you guys have I've shared, he's our web designer. He's an extremely talented designer.
Yes.
So I always knew Dan was the talent. I was the mouthpiece. It goes back to our band days. Dan was the drummer and he was super talented.
Right.
I was the mouthpiece. I was the person lead singing
singer,
in the
right,
band.
yeah.
I was directing the audience, playing guitar, all that stuff. And so Dan and I started a company called Nextmark Design. And that was my first foray into sales, where we literally we were selling to churches. We were selling to mom and pop grocery stores. We were selling to, small businesses in the community, where like restaurants, we even have an apple orchard that we were doing, everything like that. And so that was my first, I didn't understand sales at all, but I knew, hey, we had to talk to these people. And I remember walking out of one of our meetings where we were pitching this, I think it was a church. I think it was Calvary Vision Church, but we had to go to one of their members ran a website company.
Okay.
One of their members. Mm-hmm. And we're not from their church, we're pitching them on doing their website and stuff. And I remember going to their boardroom, and Dan knows everything about websites and all this stuff. I know nothing. I know coding, but I know nothing about websites. And we sit in that boardroom, I give my presentation, we walk out, and I remember Dan looking at me and going, I know more than you, but somehow when you speak, they just think you know everything. And so that was my first understanding of just like, it's not necessarily what you say, it's how you say it and how you deliver it.
Yep.
Fast forward again, we did Nextmark Design, but during Nextmark Design, I was actually programming for our founder and my uncle, who Steve, you guys don't, he never gets on these podcasts.
We've tried
I've
so
tried
many
to get
times.
Steve on these podcasts. Steve started
We've been trying to do a
Reminder
video
Media.
with him for about a year and a half.
Yeah, Steve, yeah. Seriously. He's shy. But Steve started Reminder Media about 15 years ago. If I could ever get him to share his story, it's amazing. It's an amazing entrepreneurial story. But, about 8 years ago is when I started talking to Steve, because I was doing Nextmark Design. I had come up and done an internship with them in programming up here, and then went back and was working in Virginia, doing some side stuff for him, working part-time for some of his stuff that he needed to program for Reminder Media on the CRM. I was doing Nextmark Design, but that's when we really started building a relationship, and he started talking to me. And over that time, he was really just kind of, for lack of a better word, pounding. He's an incredible salesperson for how shy he is, pounding into my head, hey, we can really do something great here. And he believed Reminder Media could be so much bigger than it was. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I remember, and I know Steve doesn't mind me sharing this, he had really reached a point in his life where a lot of entrepreneurs do, and maybe you guys listening to this have reached this point, is he really reached a point of burnout, and he just didn't know if he wanted to keep going. And if you guys could hear his story of there's betrayal in his story, there's lawsuits in his story, there's victories in his story. I mean, we should really have him on the podcast right now. But the point being is, you hear a story, he really reached a time he had success. Reminder Media was successful, but he just didn't know what the next phase was. And it just so happened that the stars just aligned to where just one day I was programming in Farmville, Virginia for Nextmark Design, and doing work there up in the loft of that one-bedroom apartment when I was married.
Farmville, Virginia?
Farmville, Virginia. So
Farmville, Virginia, and in Fluvanna County.
No, Fluvanna County is where I grew up. Farmville, Virginia is where I went to school.
Oh, okay.
So that's why I talk the way I do.
Gotcha.
But I literally just was sitting there programming, working, and just, I can't even describe it, just said, I'm going to do this. I'm going to move to Pennsylvania. I'm going to join Steve, and we're going to see if we can take Reminder Media to the next level.
It's a big risk, man.
It's weird to think of it now. I think of it now. It's like, it's just stupid. Why didn't I do it a long time ago? I should have done it from the time I literally was walking. But the point being is that, I walked downstairs, told my wife, hey, I'm going to try this. I'm going to do this. Came up, and there was about a little over 40 employees at the time. Reminder Media looked totally different than it does today. And we didn't really have an inside sales team at the time, but it was what Steve believed in, and he knew we could sell on the phone. So the first thing I did was I sat down, for lack of a better word, with the phone book and started calling. Agents, and literally about 2 hours in, closed a deal. And as they say, the rest is history. I literally just, from that moment, just knew. I could see it. I tell people all the time, like, if you have the privilege to see our sales floor, you're going to see 120 seats of what you would call like the bullpen, or like, people are so impressed when they come in. There's like 30-something TVs with numbers on the wall. I could see that. And I'm not saying I saw the actual seats in the TVs necessarily, but I could see that we could build an army of people calling all day. And I tell people all the time. I can see Reminder Media International. Yeah. I can see Reminder Media in Australia. I can see Reminder Media just from a vision perspective. And from there, it has been a journey, roller coaster ride of, I feel like I've experienced everything under the sun at this point. I mean, it's hard to say, from everything. I mean, from the same type of the betrayal, lawsuits, victories. I've experienced it all. And it's been an incredible ride to get us to where we're at today. And this podcast is really like, I was joking with a couple people literally last night that said, you know what I can see? We're going to do all these conferences this year. And, we have never done really conferences before. So if you guys go to real estate conferences or financial conferences, we hope to meet you out there on the road. We're going to do all these conferences, but I can see ReminderCon. Like, we never thought we were going to be doing a podcast. Never in a million years did we think we'd be doing a podcast when we're doing a podcast right now. We're going to be doing our own conference called ReminderCon. Mark my words, I'm saying it now. We're going to be doing a conference, and people are going to be showing up. We're going to have Gary Vee speaking there. We're going to have Grant Cardone speaking there. We're going to have Luke Acree speaking there.
Luke Acree's going to speak at ReminderCon.
And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. So I don't know how you guys got through that looking at me with the backwards baseball cap, but that leads us up to
if they're
the
listening,
day.
they don't have to.
Fast story. give you kind of the window into who I
It's
am.
funny. We had very similar, and even listening to your story, I kind of knew we had similar backgrounds, but listening to it made me realize how many more similarities there really were. I grew up in a very small town also. It wasn't even a town. I mean, it would take us 15 minutes to get to the nearest gas station.
Yep.
Southern Lancaster County, southern end of Pennsylvania.
Did you grow up near the Amish?
I had all of our neighbors.
Were Amish?
Yeah, we're Amish.
Wow,
a lot
dude.
of neighbors are. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, we had like maybe 2 or 3 neighbors within walking distance, and
This is
everyone else
probably
were
a
at Amish
stupid
farms.
question. Are there Amish realtors? It's probably this
no.
maybe is my backwards hat.
I don't
speaking.
think so.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's
Fact
actually a
check
great
that.
question. I don't know.
It's
I do know that when
Amish
there's,
financial advisor?
for anyone who's curious about the Amish housing community, there is an issue right now where there's not enough land for Amish families to
Really?
to farm. So they would normally look for, I believe, like 40 acres. But what they're doing is they will actually they'll actually buy residential houses, and then they have to rip all of the electrical and all of the plumbing
Dude,
out of the
that's
houses.
crazy. Wow.
Not just like turn it off.
I did not know that.
Because our neighbor, like 2 doors down, an Amish family bought the house that in my family's house where I grew up, and they came in, and they ripped out all the electric, all the wiring, all the plumbing, everything. So it's cool. But now it changes order to order. There's a lot.
Okay.
But anyway, this isn't a podcast about.
On the Amish?
But no, very similar, very small town, very into music. I gravitated towards music and art very early. I went more towards the art side. You said trumpets weren't cool.
Yes.
I played the oboe.
Oh, dude, you were worse than me. How
Andrea's
many
laughing at
women?
me.
Yeah, Andrea's laughing.
I played the oboe.
So you didn't have a girlfriend either.
I didn't have a girlfriend either.
Join the club, brother.
It wasn't until my senior year of high school when I met my wife, which I did. We were high school sweethearts.
Yeah, my
we
wife
worked
and I
together.
too.
Yeah, but no,
Hey, this is weird.
really into
Josh and I
art.
are like
got,
brothers.
Music, obviously singing and everything. I played bass guitar. In the marching band, I played the sousaphone and the bass drum. So I played
sousaphone.
all kinds of different instruments. Always loved that. In high school, really gravitated more towards art. Around that time, we were getting like computers with Photoshop, and this is going to show the difference between our ages here a little bit. But we were getting computers with Photoshop on it, and in one of my art classes, our teacher was showing us how to use Photoshop. I think this was 10th grade. And like I Photoshopped myself, a picture of myself on the cover of the Pink Floyd album.
Did
Wish
you
Were
really?
Here. Yeah. And I was shaking hands with like
Do you
the,
still have
the
that
Flaming
picture?
Man. I still have the
Make a copy of that. We'll put it behind us here on the set. That would be
I have
awesome.
the printout of that like in my art folder of
That's
stuff
awesome,
from high
dude.
school and college.
That's awesome.
But ever since then, I really loved
It's going to go behind us.
I loved art, but I knew I couldn't do anything as a fine artist, right? You can't make any money as a fine artist. Best case would be an illustrator, even that's going to be extremely hard. And fine arts, I was never outstanding at.
The arts are hard, dude. The
Yeah.
arts are super hard.
So I got into kind of graphic design from there, went to a school. I wasn't really quite sure what I wanted to pursue from a career standpoint. I knew I loved art. I knew I loved computers. So I ended up going for multimedia design, which allowed me to get exposure to video editing.
Okay.
I would do print design, really learn like desktop publishing, would learn web design. We learned interactive design, so we were building like these interactive catalogs. Like I remember this one project where we had to do an FAO Schwartz catalog, and we had to do, 19 pages deep of like shopping for toys on CD-ROMs. This is whenever you would also like get a
Wait,
catalog
what's
of
a CD-ROM? I'm just kidding. I know what a CD-ROM is.
But no, so I really
You
enjoyed
weren't
that.
floppy disk? I mean, I would have thought. No, I'm just
Yeah,
kidding.
we did. We would carry little zip disks around. Yeah, we didn't even have.
Dude, I use floppy disk. I mean, I'm not that young. I mean, I am young, but I use floppy disk. I mean, technology's not that advanced. I mean, not that old.
Zip disks were big, yeah. But no, anyway, so I really kind of, what I ended up really having a passion for was web design. I loved web design because I loved solving problems. I loved visual design, and I loved the idea of being able to communicate and show people something visually appealing.
Are you the type of person that likes to see the problem solved, like likes to see it in the sense of like, you like building a house because you get to see the finished product.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
That's the thing I didn't like about coding.
Yeah.
Coding, so often you don't really get to see the
true.
finished product. It's just
true.
a pass-through, for lack
Yeah.
of a better word. It's like the foundation.
It really is the
that you
best of
never
both
see.
worlds because you get to write the code, which I enjoy. I enjoy the problem solving and the detail of writing the code.
Yeah.
But then you get to flip into the other view, which is now you get to see all of your images lined up within your code, and you get to see the website. And it was just, I always loved making things and then showing them to people and getting their reaction. So whenever I got out of college, I met Steve.
Yep.
About 4 months. Actually, I met Steve at a portfolio review in college.
How crazy. Oh, yeah, because he went to recruit from that college.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
how crazy was he then compared to now?
I don't remember him at the portfolio review.
Did he have long hair?
No.
Steve right now, I wish you got, I mean, he has hair that's like,
It's a beautiful
he looks like
hair.
Fabio. Dude,
It's a
he has
beautiful hair.
volume in that hair. Girls love his hair.
But about 4 months after college, I got a call from him. And he said, I'd like to interview you for this web design position. I'm putting together a team. I'm starting a company. Actually, I don't think he said he's starting a company. I think he said he had a company.
He had a company, yeah.
So
That's the salesman in him.
Dude, this is my first interview. I'm working at a shoe store at the time at an outlet.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Rockvale Outlet.
Had you graduated yet, or you just?
I had graduated.
So you graduated and were working at a shoe store.
So I was doing a bunch of freelance work.
Okay.
I did very similar. I was doing websites for churches. I was doing
Nice.
websites for
You know what?
small
If we
printing
never
companies.
came to ReminderMedia, we probably would have ended
had a
up
website
in the some circuit. We might have been competitors.
We got to start a band is what we need.
Yes,
to
a
do.
band and then design websites for churches because it's in our blood. We just know how to do it.
But so I was doing that, and he contacted me, and I came in, and this was my first interview. Actually, it was my second interview, but felt like my first real interview out of college. I get my suit. I got my, they teach you in college how to interview.
Sure, yeah.
Wear. I got my suit. I got my red tie because you're supposed to wear a red tie. That was.
I did not know that. Did they teach you
That's
that?
like the power tie.
Oh yeah, red is a power color.
Confidence, yeah. So I show up. It's August 2002. July or August 2002.
Dun 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 dun.
What
What was the weather like?
So he gives me the address. It was hot.
Oh, it was hot. Okay.
I'm talking like 100 degrees. He gives me this address. I show up. It's a bed and breakfast.
That's nice.
This is weird.
Yeah.
Like, why am I at a bed and breakfast?
Like, am I about to get
company?
kidnapped or something?
So I'm standing outside. I'm sweating in this suit. I'm trying to find where Steve is. I haven't seen him yet. He hasn't called. I don't think we were. You don't text. I don't think you texted.
No, you didn't text back then, dude.
So I'm calling him. Right.
Not in 2002.
He's oh yeah, I'll be there in a minute. So he comes up on a golf cart.
No way.
Wearing cargo shorts
Tommy
and a
Bahama
polo and a
shirt.
backwards hat, just like that.
That's great.
Backwards hat. He goes, "You Josh?" I said, "Yeah, I'm Josh." He goes, get in." So I jump in the golf cart in my nice suit. I got my portfolio there with me. He drives me down.
Sweating, nervous, handshake.
Drives me down behind the bed and breakfast. We pull into this really nice area with a pool table. Had a real big screen TV. Had all like the cool stuff in the corners. I'm like, man, this is the tech company, right?
Dude, yes.
This is what
You're feeling good.
This is what was promised in college. They're telling you you're going to graduate. You're going
All
to
the
make
money
this
was
much
worth
money.
it.
You're going to go get a job in the tech world. You're going to be designing websites. The new pets.com.
Yep. Yeah, because he was all
2002.
into pets. Yeah.
But no, and so he starts pitching me on what they're doing and the magazines and the things that they're doing right now. And I'm like, this is really cool. I'm going to get to work in a really cool place. So I go home telling my parents about this. I'm like, this is really cool.
I know it's coming.
I had to design a couple graphics for him. He's like, I need you to make this banner. He was putting me through the ringer, kind of testing my skills. So I said to him, I really like everything. Come back in for your second interview. So I come back in, same thing. He comes up on the golf cart, gets me. This time we're driving back towards the bed and breakfast. He keeps going straight instead of turning left to the bed and breakfast. And we head towards this little 2-car garage.
So you passed the really nice bed and breakfast that you interviewed to begin with.
My head's doing this.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is the bait and switch right there. That is the bait. That's the definition of a bait and switch.
We walk into this 2-car garage, and it was fantastic. It was absolutely awesome. It had like 2 little offices outside of the garage. It was on a car lot, this 2-car garage.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And he goes, everything I showed you, he goes, that's where I want to get to. That's what we want to build.
That's amazing.
He said, right now, here's where we're starting, though. We're going to start in this garage. There's 3 of us.
And you guys were selling cars, right? Out of the front.
Here's what we're going to do for now, and then we're going to go build this.
Dude, that's
amazing. So I bought
amazing.
into the vision. I bought into the pitch, and it wasn't an empty pitch, man. Here we are,
dude. I mean,
but it was really cool. We sold cars on eBay for like the first 8 months. And then we kind of split ways with that group and started, we actually worked from home. Like all 3 of us worked from our homes for about 7 months.
Yeah,
we would come together every week or 2, put together a new deck, pitching some new idea. He would go out, pitch it to someone. They'd come back and be like, well, that didn't work, or that worked, but let's tweak it here. After 7 months of that, we had put together, he said, all right, we got some office space in Lancaster. Why don't you come in? We're gonna make a magazine. We're gonna do this thing. We come in, we start putting together some mock-ups. I build like the first cover of American Lifestyle.
Yeah.
Right? we don't know where we're going to get the articles from, so we just start, like, his partner at the time just started emailing people and, like, getting people to send him articles and stuff like that. He's like, here, this is how we're going to put the magazine together.
And you guys had already sold it at this point?
Not yet. So
okay.
we print the first cover. We met the printing company that we still work with today. Okay. But we print the first cover. We wrap it around a Buick luxury magazine, like a Buick magazine.
So good.
And so then they leave. They pitch it to the
Coldwell Banker, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was like a president's meeting for Coldwell Banker Home Sale Services, which then became Prudential Home Sale Services, which is now Berkshire Hathaway Home Sale Services Group. In the Lancaster, Reading, York, it was like the biggest franchise in the state. And they come back and they go, they bought it.
Guys, I just got to make sure you understand what just happened there. They printed a cover over another magazine. So they had the idea of what they wanted to do, but no magazine. Took another magazine, printed the cover over it, and then went and sold it. That just shows you. It's all about, Grant Cardone says it. It's people have ideas, and then they take so long to get to the monetization of that idea. The key to being successful in business is create the idea and monetize immediately. Figure out the rest later.
Yeah. So then what we did was obviously, we talked to the worked out the deal with Coldwell Banker, told them where we were at and everything.
I remember that deal.
And then and so the way that we kind of got in and really started building relationships were we would go around to the offices and we would set up in their conference rooms a photo studio. So I would have this Ford Focus at the time. I ended up putting I put 200,000 miles in 4 years.
Just driving around and taking photos of agents.
And we would drive around. I would go, I'd set my computer up. We got a green screen. We didn't know how to do this. But Steve goes, here's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
Figure out how to take photos.
Well, wasn't it, literally Steve just goes to an agent that he's selling. They're like, how do I get my picture? And he goes, we take pictures for you. And so Josh is like, I guess we take pictures now.
Yeah, so we went to a local camera shop. We got all the equipment we need. We had like a piece of construction paper for a green screen background. So then the way that we did it then was we would go in, we would do photos for people. We would give them their photos. So people would line up, make appointments, they would get their photos taken. And then at the time, we're like, hey, we'll give you these photos. That's why we're here. But if you're interested in trying out this new marketing product that we have, we'd be happy to clean the photo for you, cut it out. It was full body shot. That was kind of cool at the time. Digital cameras weren't ubiquitous at the time.
Right, yep.
You couldn't take, now you can take.
Your smartphone can do as nice of a picture now. Yeah.
So we got all the flashes and everything set up. And that's how we sold our first 212 accounts, was through going around, taking photos, and our first print run for mailers was about 17,000 plus, our additional copies, which today are called promotional copies.
And it took, months. It took months to get up to that.
Oh, dude, we did 3 different print runs.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Nobody understood what we were doing at the time. And it's hard to appreciate it now because variable data printing, this level of customization, this personalization.
Was brand new. Was
brand new in 2003. So no one really understood what we were doing, but we finally found a partner that worked for us. And the entrepreneurial spirit that we still embody today, and this is, I think, important to our audience because you guys are entrepreneurs, you guys are business owners, if you're running a service-based sales professional, and it's that mentality of whatever it takes. We slept on couches at our print facility. We stayed there for 36 hours straight, was my longest work day.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Running between 3 different locations. We worked in a garage with no heat in the winter and no air conditioning in the summer. I mean, literally sitting there with our jackets on. But we had really nice desks. We had these really nice glass desks and new computers.
Just so you feel like a boss.
So we felt like pretty awesome there. But that really is it. It's a value that we carry through this company 15 years later. But yeah, and then in the Lancaster office, Tom Setliff, who is still our director of IT.
Yeah, he's our director of IT. The guy's a genius.
We would sit there, and what we would do is during the day, we would program the interface, or I would take photos during the day. At night, he would come to the office from college.
Yeah, because Steve recruited like an hour him away. Out of college too,
Out of college, he would come work for us at night. We'd build the interface, and then in the middle of the night, I would work on the magazine. And then we'd get up and we'd do it all again the next day.
So let's close out this interview with the question we always ask our people that we interview. Knowing what you know now, what would you go back and tell younger Josh? That's a deep question right there.
I know, it's funny. Every time I hear us ask that question in the interview, I always think, what would you tell your younger self? Honestly, it wasn't so much during those days that I would change anything. Because part of it was I was along for the ride. You know what I mean? And we were just doing whatever it takes. When you're in that mindset of doing whatever it takes, you're not thinking about or assessing anything. You're just getting it done. It wasn't until we got a little bit bigger and we started growing the company a little bit more and started seeing the success that what I would change then would be to not take things too seriously. I think what happens is you start to overthink things.
That's so crazy.
You start to overanalyze it.
Yep.
You start to not take action, and you start talking about it more.
Or paralysis by analysis. Yeah.
And I think that there were points along the way where I would go back and say, don't take it so seriously.
Yep.
This is supposed to be fun.
Yep.
When you have nothing to lose, you're completely free and ready to go. The minute that you have something to lose, you get protected, you get scared.
It's what it is, man.
You start to hesitate.
That's a huge sales principle right there. You lose deals because your pipeline's not full.
Yeah.
Because you have, this deal is everything to you. So you literally coddle it into losing it.
Yeah. What about you? What are what would you tell?
Oh, man. It's such a deep question. I think there's two things I would say. One is, if you don't know, don't trust others to know. And that's not about micromanaging, but it really is something I've learned the hard way. So often you think, put yourself in this situation, you think, like maybe you're an agent, you think your broker knows. They'll tell you. They'll tell you if you're doing something wrong. You think your employee knows.
Yeah,
or if you don't know, don't trust others. And it's not a statement to say you have to know everything, but it's a statement to say you have to be willing to own the failure of it. Because so often I've had failures happen where I go, man, but it's not my fault. No, it is your fault. It is your fault. Because at the end, the consequences are with you, so it is your fault. So if you don't know, don't trust others.
That's funny.
To know.
Both of our answers relate back to our core values. I guess it makes sense. I mean,
it stemmed from our hearts.
We're on the team that created the core values. But I mean, taking action is one of our core values.
Yep.
So our core values are fearless.
Yep.
It stands for fun. We like to have fun first. Extreme ownership. Which is what you're talking about. What was that?
I was about to scream it, and then you cut me off, and I was like, I don't know what to do here. I'm about to scream extreme ownership, and he just said it, and I'm like, this is going to be awkward.
Well, this is less awkward. Yeah. Extreme ownership. You want to do the next one?
Action. Take action, baby.
Take action, baby. Relationships, which is what we're talking about today. Yep. Leadership for L. Entrepreneurial spirit for E.
Yep.
Service
and sales.
Yep.
I would say the second thing I would tell myself is that it is never as bad as you think it is. It is never as bad as you think it is. And that is like that, you like to say think bigger. Mm-hmm. That's just the opposite to me in the sense, and like it's just another way to say it. It's not the opposite of thinking bigger. It's just another way to say it. It's never as bad as you think it is.
Look at the bigger picture.
So go bigger. So don't fear it. It's like I did a pitch today to the head of Keller Williams vendor program, and it's just like I just entered the pitch going, there's nothing to lose. It's never as bad. Andrew Saxa, who's our VP of Financial Services and runs our Financial Services division, he always says the wolf always is a mouse. The wolf in the closet always turns out to be a mouse. And it's just like, it's never as bad as you think it is. It's so true. It's never as bad as you think it is. And once you understand that in life, no matter what comes your way from, deals lost to people getting angry at you to threats to whatever it is, it's never as bad as you think it is. And just keep trucking.
We did have a question from our audience.
Uh-oh. This is scary.
Ethan Acree, who's been on the podcast before, wants to know who your best friend is.
Uh-oh.
I think he was setting you up there, though.
Ethan is currently the funniest person that I know. But Ethan's sense of humor is dry. So he offends a lot of people because they don't know he's joking. But because I've grown up with him and I know him.
I don't know what episode number it was, but he was on here talking about how to hire.
Yeah, he's an incredible recruiter. Yeah. Best friend, I don't have one. I claim the fifth on it. I'm going to say Josh Steik.
Well, it was a fun interview. We're the Stay Paid pals.
The Stay Paid bros, yo.
It was fun interviewing you today.
Yeah, it was great. Great interview, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you so much for listening. If you liked what you heard today here on Stay Paid, and I'm going to be honest, even if you didn't like what you heard.
Yeah, please. 5-star review. Share it.
Give us a 5-star review on iTunes. We won't tell anyone.
No, we won't.
Our little
if
secret.
You hated my backwards cap and you think I sounded dumb the whole podcast, please let me know.
Give us a 5-star.
Ethan, do not comment.
Do not comment. You can also find our podcast in video, including this one on youtube.com/ReminderMedia or staypaidpodcast.com, where we post all of our podcasts, including the videos. Make sure to tell someone else about the podcast today. As you're visiting with family this holiday season, people like being recommended great pieces of content.
Yep.
I think this might classify as one of those.
I would say it does.
Recommend a Netflix show. and stay paid right
Someone
alongside
fact
of it.
check that. But
Someone fact check it.
I think that's a good one.
If you'd like to get a hold of me or Luke, please email us at podcast@remindermedia.com, or you can find us on Instagram or LinkedIn. And of course, you can check out Reminder Media on social media. We are at Reminder Media on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Pinterest. I just want to plug our Pinterest again a little bit. Pinterest is strong. It's a really good
Dude, our Pinterest is awesome because we have so much content that is so applicable to Pinterest. It's just super, super
It's
awesome.
strong. Yep. For this episode of Stay Paid, I am Joshua Stike.
And I'm Luke Acree, guys. And the action item from this, I think, is a really basic one, but I think it's super valuable. If you haven't told your story to your audience, I think you should. I think you should sit down this week and document it, whether it's through Facebook Lives. You could do it on a Facebook Live. You could do it on your website through a bio, writing it. But the reason why I think it's powerful, because I think in today's age of marketing, I think people want to know the person, not the company, right? And so they want to do business with people they know, like, and trust. Obviously, we say it all the time. It's about relationships. So sit down, write your bio out, film it on Facebook Live, maybe film it on a video and put it up on your website. Do that this week. Remember, the difference between a top producer and a mediocre producer is top producers take action. So take action on that today.